Okay, please start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm the reporter from Taiwan. And here I'm going to report the problem statement sound. So the problem statement asks us to investigate the laser shot sound that may produce when you tap the script. So first of all, I'm going to show you what it sounds like. Okay. So here's the spectrogram of that sound. And as you can see, there are some curves on the spectrogram, which indicate some important properties of the Sci-Fi sound that we'll talk about later. So here are the main focal points I'm going to focus on in my report. First is whether a string is necessary for the production of the Sci-Fi sound. The second is to identify the critical properties of the sound as you have in order to sound like a Sci-Fi sound. And finally is the origin of those properties. Here's my outline. First, I'm going to show you the preliminary experiment and the setup. And then is my model for the vibration on the string. And then I'll talk about the perception of Sci-Fi sound and how that's related to your human ear. And then finally is the change on the sound when it's traveling in air, and the conclusion. So this is my setup. I stretch the string horizontally and clamp it on both sides. And then I tap the string with a single pendulum to produce a constant force. And also I use a piezoelectric sensor or a microphone to detect the sound on the same side. The piezoelectric sensor allows me to detect the initial vibration due to the tapping and also how the vibration change after the sound is traveled through the string. And the microphone allows me to detect how the sound change while it's traveling through air. So that's how I can clarify the origin of the Sci-Fi properties. And these are the materials I use. Some conventional springs, slinky coils, and also I try to use steel wires to test if the string is needed for the production of the Sci-Fi sound. And here I'm going to talk about the different ways of tapping. When I tap the string while the coils are contacting, then this is the sound I get. It's a pulse with multiple frequencies, and it's not the Sci-Fi sound. And it resembles the initial vibration given by the tapping. But if I tap with the string coils separated, then you get the Sci-Fi sound. And you can see this curve that resembles the ones in the laser shot sound spectrograms. So I'll assume this is the Sci-Fi sound that we're going to investigate. So where does these lines come from? Well, I think that it can be interpreted as the initial vertical line of the pulse is got spread out while traveling through the spring. So one explanation of that would be that the different frequencies travels at different velocities on the string, which is known as the dispersion relation. And I can use these time intervals between the lines to calculate the group velocity of the different frequencies. So here I'm going to talk about how does the dispersion relation come from. Okay, here is the picture of the string, and I define the displacement on the radial and longitudinal axis as these two, and the big R is the radius of the whole coil, small r is the radius of the wire. And a more simple theoretical model would be the Euler balloon beam, considering the wire of the string as a straight bar. I would also consider the wave equation on the longitudinal direction. But since the wire on the string is curved, since it's a string, so it can't be directly applied. And you need to have some correction about the curvature of the wire. So these terms needed to be added, where epsilon is the curvature of the string, which is 1 over big R. And how do we get the dispersion relation? Well, we can look at the eigenequation of these two derivative equations, and we can solve the relation between the angular velocity and the wave number in order to have a solution from these equations. So these are the predictions of my model. Here I'm going to talk about group velocity. The group velocity is normally a velocity of the energy transfer. So these would be the velocities that I would observe between those lines. And it is defined as del omega over del k. And here is the predicted graph about the omega and also it's a k with number here. And you can see that while the curvature is changing, when curvature is 0, then it's strictly increasing. But when the curvature is bigger and bigger, then it decreases over here. And we translate that into the relation between the group velocity and the frequencies. You get these kind of curves. And you can see that there are actually some negative velocities. But in our setup, since we tap on the end of the spring, so these waves traveling on the opposite direction will get reflected back, and so it doesn't really cause any difference. And so here's the comparison between the theory model and our experiments. First of all, is with the wire with little curvature. So the lines are strictly increasing. And you can see as I vary the radius of the wire, you can see that it matches with the prediction very well. And if I only look at these dots on one single frequency, which is the 1 kHz, I get these relations. And I would say that when the wire radius tends towards 0, then the velocities also tend towards 0. And when the wire radius tends towards infinity, then the velocity would tend towards the sound velocity inside the block of steel, which is about 5,000 meters per second. And the theory prediction and our data point matches pretty well. And also I checked the curve required to be sure that the curvature correction is correct. And as you can see, we can see this individual line of the relation between the velocity and the frequency. And I know that we didn't have data here because there are some overlapping, since multiple frequencies, the same frequencies might travel at different group velocity depending on the wave number. So we couldn't clearly get the data point over here. But other than that, the theory and the experiment matches pretty well. Okay, here I'm going to talk about the perception of the Sci-Fi sound. Sorry. Okay, first of all, I want to more intuitively quantify the properties of the Sci-Fi sound. So first of all, I want to get the frequencies that the Sci-Fi sound can be characterized by. And to know that, I did the audio you just heard into the frequency sections of 500 Hz intervals. And I will remove the higher frequency and the lower frequencies, and you observe that at which point will the Sci-Fi sound start to sound not as Sci-Fi as before. So these are those sounds in order. Okay, the last one is this one. Oh, sorry. Okay, so as you can hear, that the sound, the frequency required needs to be at around 500 to 4,000 Hz, since these ones and these ones don't really sound like a Sci-Fi sound. So we're going to use these two frequencies to characterize the character of the Sci-Fi sound. And also here I try to see that whether the reverberation between the multiple lines curves is necessary for a sound to sound like a Sci-Fi sound. So I electronically edit this audio with the Audacity to remove the other lines and okay, so this sound still sounds like a Sci-Fi sound. So I think that the reverberation is only an additional feature of the Sci-Fi sound. It's not needed. It's not the needed criteria. And here I'm going to talk about the most important point about the Sci-Fi sound, which is the spread between the higher and the lower frequencies. So here I generate the audio with only one line, and I cut the frequencies about the 4 kHz and below 0.5 kHz to remove those noises. And here I'm going to stretch or compress the audio temporally in order to discuss the different time difference that will sound, whether it will sound like Sci-Fi sound or not. So here, sorry, I probably can't hear as clearly, but while we are increasing the time difference by stretching the audio temporarily, you can hear that the sound started by like a pause, and then after it has overcome the temporal resolution of human ear, we can start distinguish the different frequencies coming at different time. So it will start sounding like a Sci-Fi sound. But after it reaches another boundary, then the sound will come like a glitch because it is too discrete to be recognized as one sound. So a very important properties of a Sci-Fi sound would be that the range between the higher and lower frequencies, in my case it's 4 and 0.5 kilohertz, needs to be in about this range. And it is related to human ear's properties, and also related to the properties of the wire, like the length of the wire. Thirdly is the factors about attenuation in error. See, here, first of all, I try to here's the data from the microphone, and you can see that the ear didn't add any other dispersion to the original sound. It behaves the same as in the wire. But one thing that ear adds on is the attenuation, that it removes some part of frequencies faster than other frequencies. Like in this case, in my measurement, it removes the sound faster in the lower frequencies, and so after some distance, the only lasting frequencies will be these parts. So here's these audios. You can see as I increase the distance from the string, the sound will sound a little bit higher and also more quiet, and that's like a Sci-Fi sound. So this is also an important aspect we need to consider when considering the properties of a Sci-Fi sound. So finally, some conclusion. I talked about the key components of the Sci-Fi sound, the time difference, the frequency range, and these two are optional properties. And I demonstrate the effect of ear attenuation. Also, this is the model of the vibration on string. And that's my report. Thank you.
So thank you for the presentation, but I still have some quick questions. So why do you think that the Sci-Fi sound happens?
You mean the origin of the Sci-Fi sound?
Yes. Why do we hear that? What is the cause of it?
You mean the perception of ear?
Basically,
Because the higher frequencies will reach, we hear the higher frequency earlier than the lower frequency. So
Okay, thank you. Instead of when you increase the distance from a spring, you heard it less loud and not as clear. Why do you think so?
Well, because of the attenuation of the air, and also you lose the lower frequencies, so the sound sounds higher in pitch.
Why do you think that we have dispersion in the spring?
Well,
Short answer, please.
it's because of the order of the beam and the wave function you can get straight to right.
And what do you think? What type of wave travels inside the spring?
Wave, the compression wave.
No. Transfer is all one to the moon.
Compression or transfer?
Which one?
Oh.
Okay, and which one causes the sound?
Well.
I will discuss it later. But why do you think that you have maybe two curves in your spectrogram?
Because the sound reflected inside the spring. So.
Okay, and do you think that have you used a resonator at the end of your spring?
No, I stick the piezo microphone onto the spring or place the microphone next to it.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any limits of tapping?
Tapping?
Any limits?
Do you mean the force?
Yes, maybe, and maybe the angle, how you hit it, and which part of the spring. Because maybe you can hit it from the front and hit it from the sides.
I only hit it from the side, but I think that hitting from the front or the side will always
You can talk about it in the
this
discussion
direction.
too.
So what we're doing, I'm going to from Hungary, and I'm going to review and propose this presentation, Sci-Fi sound. So the task was to hit a spherical spring, and this will create a laser shot kind of noise. And just to overview this presentation, he created a well-working theory, and it was really advanced, and he used the Euler-Bernoulli equation. Next, he made experiments, and he used different springs to do this. And when he compared his theory and his measurements, they agreed quite well. And in my opinion, it was a real clear explanation how his measurements fit on his complex theory. However, I don't think he gave a clear basic model of this phenomenon. So he built a working setup and he measured the sound which was traveling in the spring and the waves, and he also used different kind of springs for it. He didn't explain the basic physics as I said before. He only made a really complex theory using different wave equations, and he didn't investigate as many parameters and didn't vary them in a manner which could have shown any different things which might affect this phenomenon. So about his theory, he did give a clear explanation how he derived his theory and how he got his equations from. He considered the parameters he investigated in his equations, which was really nice, and he also included the curvature of the spring, and he also had many animations and sound files, which were really great to show us this phenomenon. But his equations were sometimes too complex and sometimes unclear to follow. When he made his measurements, he had quite many, so I think his measurements were quite reproducible. He had a working setup which eliminated most of the upcoming errors which could have happened, and he had a really good agreement with his theory and his simulations and measurements. However, he didn't investigate all of the parameters which can affect this phenomenon, and he didn't make it clear if he used only one spring to measure this phenomenon, or he used different types and how to vary them. And he might have spent too much time on analyzing the sound and showing us what kind of different sci-fi sounds can happen. So to summarize his presentation, he didn't explain the phenomenon in a simple way, but only used complex equations, which had a really good correlation with his measurements. And he did vary some parameters when he was showing his setup. However, we couldn't really see that clearly when he showed us his measurements. And he also compared different types of sci-fi sounds to each other and concluded what frequency range is different from it. So I'd like to invite the reporter to the discussion. So first of all, I would like to talk about the basic phenomenon which is happening. He said that it happens because the different frequencies arise in different times. And and he said that this is because of the dispersion.
Yes.
Can you explain me how a dispersion happens?
Yes. So first of all, we know about the weight of anomaly being the.
Yes, but I meant that a simple way, because I understand your complex theory, but it's really simple.
You know, because the beam's model, vibration is the motion can be modeled with the development is being and I will derive a simple explanation for this. So just agree. So do you agree? You're okay with this?
I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, so well, if we assume the vibration to be something like this, you can apply it to this,
Yes.
and you'll get
Okay. So I understand why you have dispersion drop. And as I asked in my short questions, that I asked if the longitudinal waves or the transversal waves make the sound. Which one do you think is dispersed in the spring?
well, I think both of them are because
Can you tell me how can longitudinal waves be dispersed moving in the spring? Because I think that if you use Newton's second law and Hooke's law into one equation, you can get the overall velocity for a longitudinal wave, and you can prove from that that it is not dispersed because the velocity of each frequency is constant.
no, well, my explanation is this: because this is a radio displacement and the longitudinal one. Because the y is curved in the spring.
Yes.
So the displacement on one direction will also, like for example, if this one is setting into this here, you also cause the displacement on this direction.
Yes, I understand that.
Yes. So these two vibration modes are actually connected. They can be separated in their curvature.
Well, I disagree with you because you can describe the longitudinal wave propagation in the spring in a harmonic wave equation, which means that there is no dispersion in it. However, the transversal wave propagation can occur in a non-harmonic wave equation, but I see you don't really get what I meant to say, so I'd like to move on to my next one, which is quite connected to this. Do you think that you need a spring for this phenomenon?
Okay.
You need a spring, or do
No,
you just use a straight wire?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I agree with you. When you showed me your spectrogram, you said that there might be two curves.
Yes. Okay.
Do you think that those are reflections?
Yes.
Well,
I can prove it. I have some experiments. Sorry. Okay. Here I try to prove the reflect is because of the reflection by changing the position of the tap.
Yes.
Because when I change it, the sound has to propagate will change. And like one way would need to travel this far, the other one needs to travel this far.
yes.
And the ratio between those two will change when I change the tapping position.
For this, to mention this, was your spring cross-section spherical or rectangular?
Spherical.
But even in your case, that is true that we have only one curve. But since I don't want the area, if there's a rectangle cross-section, then if you have a second wave, then it's not a reflection but another wave traveling in a different.
I agree. If you use the rectangular cross-sectional spring, there will be multiple, and it wouldn't be as simple as this.
Yes.
But I think it can be simplified by like you can use the two dimensions as according to the relation the equations I got as the radius of the spring, and then get a similar actual
Yes,
solution.
and what I said that since you have if you have your circle cross section, then this parameter and it is also the same. And so if you have a rectangle cross section, then this part is maybe an H, I, and an H, and so
I agree
it's
with you.
traveling.
Yes.
And
I didn't do the investigation about this, but I agree that it's
okay, and do you think that this also matters in how you tap the spring?
Sorry?
Does this matter if so? I think that
You mean
when you
the
tap.
direction?
No, because when you tap the spring from this side and maybe from this side, then the propagation will be different because of this limit. Do you
Well,
agree?
Well, if this condition is wouldn't,
Yeah,
if
yes.
it's this,
Okay,
then
I
probably
agree
will.
with you. Do you think? Well, I said before. Do you know what you wrote up is can it be considered an anharmonic wave equation? Non-harmonic wave equation.
Non-harmonic?
Well,
What is the physical meaning of that? Why would we?
well, that's to prove that the transversal waves are dispersed and not. So.
Well, it can still be simple harmonic motion as long as the omega is not proportional to the
Yeah, that's what I meant, but if again you write it for the longitudinal one, it won't be the same.
Well, I believe that as I said, these two are connected. Like, they are joined.
Yeah, they're connected.
They cannot be separated.
And how do you think that, why do you think that maybe, since higher frequencies is what you hear, and those arrive first, right?
Are you hear the frequencies part?
The higher ones first.
Yes.
And why do you think that higher frequencies are the first ones which appear?
Because it travels faster well, at least in the case without the curvature. The higher frequency travels faster. Therefore, if I place the microphone here and tap here,
Yes.
and it travels faster, it comes, or I actually have the animation pasted here.
Yes.
This is one. Okay, so faster, then it will reach the other end
Yes, and,
quicker, and then it will.
when you mean curvature, what curvature do you mean?
This is the spring.
Yes?
This is curvature. This curvature is 1/r.
But here, so this is the string which makes the spring, right?
It's the coil.
Okay, I agree with you, because the second component of the area is also proportional to the radius of the stress cause. Okay, thank you. Connected to why we can use a string also for instead of a spring, that is because you need a longer length. And
Well,
do you
yes.
agree with that?
Okay, I talk about like the time difference you need for sorry, the time difference here you need is about 40 to 130 in a second, right? And but this time difference is not only related to the velocity, it's also related to the length the sound has traveled. Because the longer the length, then the longer the time you have to travel. Yes. So these tend to be longer, so the difference is always longer. So the sound perceived will be different.
Yes, thank you.
So
Can you show me what parameters you vary in your experiments?
I varied the radius of the wire
Yes?
and the length of the string as well. The length of the wire.
And have you maybe changed when you change the density, do you change the material?
No, but I think that it can still be applied.
Yes, but you haven't changed the material, you haven't changed the young modulus.
Yes, I tried about steel and spring steels. Yeah, a little bit different, but
Did you know that it is steel?
yes, yeah, they are a little bit different, but they are both steel.
But that can make an error in your calculation.
Yes, but I didn't consider this part, the changing the young modulus as important as changing the other factors. I didn't do
Well,
that.
in my opinion, if you change the young modulus, then the velocity of the baby also changes.
Yes, it will change.
Okay, and so do you think which material do you think is the best to
The best?
do this experiment?
Well,
Maybe
I don't know.
it's steel
I don't think it's the best, but what do you mean by the best?
what is more optimal? Like if you use steel or maybe a plastic one or maybe a metal which has maybe a lower or a higher youngness, which one do you think is more optimal?
Well, plastic one wouldn't work, obviously, because the chunk one is too small. Well, in all my investigation, you can see that there's limits to all the parameters. It can be too big or too small. So the optimization really depends on the properties of the material.
And which material do you think is best?
Well, I only tried the steel, but I don't really think that is relevant for question.
But in my case, I think that the plastic one will also work if you use a really big resonator, which resonates air, that it will
Well,
work
I think that the resonator would really disturb the vibration because vibration, the way you calculate the vibration is by the boundary conditions. And when you place something there, it will totally change the boundary conditions.
Thank you.
It will be beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I will summarize the discussion. So we first talked about the basic model and how this phenomenon actually occurs and what its causes, including dispersion and the waves traveling inside the spring. We also discussed if you need actually a spring or is it a long wire also valid to do this phenomenon. And we also discussed if the tapping of the spring mattered, and then we went into how this is connected to the cross-section and the different parameters of maybe the spring connected to its second area. Then we also discussed some part of his theory as that if he uses a non-harmonic wave equation, can he describe the different types of waves, which one will we actually hurt? And we also talked about different parameters which he varied and not varied in his experiments, and we discussed how we did it. And thank you for it.
Questions? Hello everyone, my name is Alan, I've got questions. So first of all, to the presenter, how do you think we can affect the length of the sound?
The length of the sound?
Yes.
Oh, well, it's related to the decay of the sound inside the spring, the length of the sound.
All right. You said that the different frequencies of sound propagate with different velocities. is the difference between the maximum velocity and minimum velocity the same for every material?
I mean the time difference.
Yeah, not the speed difference, the velocity difference.
Well, it's, yes, it will, because the Young's modulus will change between materials.
All right. You said that the intensity of a sound decreases with distance. Is it kind of unusual to other sounds, or it's just simple?
You mean in the air?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say here is that
Is there anything unusual in
the different frequencies travel attenuate at different rates. So after it travels in air, some frequencies will be lost. And when the critical frequency is lost, it will.
Is there any difference in that decay to the other? Right, I'm speaking now. Is there any difference?
Yes, it's
all right. Does it the whole spring that produce the sound?
the sound.
Is it the whole spring that produce the sound?
The cold spring.
The whole spring.
Oh yes.
All right. Opponent, do you agree?
Well, basically the string that makes up the spring makes a sound, so it is basically the whole spring, but not the movement of the spring.
All right. Thank you. Presenter, why do you think that the phenomenon could not work in a wire?
Water.
In a simple wire.
Yes. Wire. It will work.
All right. Opponent, do you agree?
Well, if you talk about the wire maybe in an instrument, then it won't work. But if you talk about just a simple wire, it
All right,
will
thank
work
you.
because
That's the initial position of a spring matters. So you said that you hold it like that. Does this position matters?
Well, actually, I have tested the tension in a wire, and I found out it wouldn't affect the result. And also, I think that the information about the shape is minimized.
Can you show us any graph of amplitude versus frequency of a sound? Amplitude versus frequency. Because I wanted to ask if amplitude and frequencies are the frequencies that you noted over the time the only frequencies that we can hear, or it maybe some multiplications of it as well.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah. So here we can see frequency from 0 to 10. Are there any others that you can hear?
Others?
Yes, like higher multiplication.
Well, I guess it means that in one time there might be two lines, like one.
No, others above the graph, above 10. Is there anything above 10?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Opponent, you stated that they didn't vary cross-sectional area. Why do you think it's important?
no, not the cross-section area, but the cross-section shape. Because if it's rectangular, then the simple movement of the area differs for each of the parameter, and then we can't really.
All right, thank you. Alright, so my name is Adam, I represent the team from UK, and I'm going to be reviewing problem called Sci-Fi Southeast. So let me summarize the reported presentation. We could hear about the basic theory, which was spring vibration model using Euler-Bernoulli beam, which is a very good choice for this problem, and we could hear perception of sci-fi sound. And it was talked about time difference, frequency ranges, different uses of a sound. And for the experiment, I must admit that it was a good setup using proper equipment. And we could see that there are 3 types of spring used. So according to the reporter, definitely strong points were the demonstrations of sound, so you could actually hear the differences, how it looks on the graph and hear that. Also the basic understanding of why the different frequencies propagate in the material at different speeds, which is key to the phenomenon, and good velocity in the prediction model, and prioritization of spreading of different frequencies in order for sci-fi sound to be heard, and then they also made good analysis of what sci-fi sound should be, so how we can predict how the different graphs would look like. But moving on to the weak point, I want to say that material of tapping was not varied, so does it make any difference if you use a wooden ball or a steel ball? And did not explain why this phenomenon would not work in wire properly, in my opinion. So moving on to the opposition, they correctly noted many relevant parameters that could be investigated but were not investigated, such length of a whole spring or cross-sectional area. and they asked about the shape of the string, which is key point to understand why actually we need helical string, which was mentioned in the discussion. And they asked for a good qualitative understanding of why high frequencies are heard first, but they were criticized of presentation audio analysis, which I think was very good and provided us with a clear understanding of the problem. So we come to the discussion. We could hear why the concept of string is needed, and both reporter and opposition agrees about this. We could hear about the dispersion in the string, which is a key physics phenomenon behind the key physics point behind the phenomenon. And we could hear why is the high frequency heard first. So both presenter and opposition knew the concept of the phenomenon, and also they talked about the length. So the longer the distance, the longer the time delay, which I agree with. But the opposition had no view, so which can suggest that they didn't clearly understand what's going on. And what they missed was the timer of sound, which is basically the ratios of different frequencies higher than we could see on the graph. So the Sci-Fi sound is more similar to the signal generation than human voice, but there are still higher multiplications of certain frequencies that you can hear on the graph, which is key to understanding the phenomenon. Why is the sound different to, for example, human voice? Thank you very much.
Final remarks?
Okay, here's my remark. First of all, I want to restate that I think in review I misunderstood. I think that the single wire can produce a Sci-Fi sound or a rod because as long as the oil balloon theory can be applied, then omega will be proportional to k squared. And this is a kind of dispersion relation. The wire only adds to some other terms, so that diversifies the sound qualities. And in my report, I talked about one of the critical components of the sound, including the frequency range, the time difference, that's really important, which are connected to all the parameters. And also I talked about the effect of the attenuation of the air related to the frequency range. And I think my model can match the experimental data pretty well. And here I want to restate that the Sci-Fi sound is created due to the dispersion of the sound and reflections. The reflections waves are not needed for the Sci-Fi sound to sound like it does. And I think that the transverse and longitudinal waves can be separated, as the opponents say, because the wires, using a Newton's law of the method is too simplified, and that neglect a lot of torque inside the spring or the rod. So I think that at least you need to use the algorithm theory that will predict a dispersion relation. And also I think that the tension wouldn't matter if it is small with the average range, but if the tension is really big, then the standing wave on the spring will overcome the dispersion waves. That's why you won't get the Sci-Fi sound when you're playing a piano, since it's also a vibration along the wire. And finally, I think that amplitude over 10K are really small and insignificant, so I didn't consider that. Thank you all for the facts.
Questions?
Could you please show slide 24? Slide 24, please. On the top right corner, there is a graph with comparison. Okay, maybe previous slide is better. Okay, so this graph, this comparison of theory with the points are measurements, right?
Yes.
What are uncertainty on these measurements and
The errors.
errors? Yeah.
Okay. There are many. They mainly come from when I measure the time difference because I need to use the spectrogram to measure the velocities. And when I measure it, there are some errors.
Okay, approximately how much are the errors? 10%, 1%?
About 5%.
5%. Okay, thank you.
Yes?
Could you show us one more spectrogram With the time delay, yes, depending on the frequency. For different frequencies, yeah. Could you describe this curve analytically, based on your theory?
And then,
Or did you try it to do this? So the shape of the curve is
yes, I
specific
did.
event.
I
I didn't notice it, but maybe you showed us, just to verify the analytical dependence.
yes, this is a line like sorry, say
How time delay depends on the frequency. I mean, just this equation or formula. Because you have quite
I can calculate the.
okay.
Sorry, let me finish.
Okay.
Because do you want like prediction? How I predict the velocity, group velocity? Is that what you want?
No. Time delay. So you have on the spectrogram time delay.
Oh yes.
Why is
Like
that?
in my graph, some of my graphs take the delta t and the frequency. That has something like this.
No.
And
I'm asking about previous the spectrogram.
yes.
Well, yeah. Could you derive some analytical expression for this?
Yes, I can because I can.
What is it? What is it? Just formula. Just put that.
Like length divided by the group velocity of the frequency.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have to move on, yeah.
Okay.
Yes? Excuse me. Excuse me.
Same question of the position. Suppose you have to explain the phenomena without using those formula, those equations. Basic physics. In 2 words.
Because the bending of the if a particular wavelength is there are some particular properties of the beam that is like a high frequency just travels faster because there are some like a basic property of the beam because it is a lot of like middle points, mass points connected. So I couldn't give that intuitive explanation, but that's the reason you can't apply the Newtonian thing that easily because it's a lot of mass points.
Yes?
To the opponents, you mentioned in your review anharmonic theory or something like that. What do you mean by that?
Well, if we write a harmonic wave equation for transversal waves, there will be a equation part, well, where the different parameters of the string should be included. And if we include that, it will be harmonic, and so the frequencies won't travel in space at the same speed.
So, what is the physical measure of this anharmonic terms which you propose in the physical reason?
It is dispersion.
Dispersion. So it's not enough to have this dispersion. I mean, this is linear theory. You propose some kind of anharmonic, non-linear terms. Yeah? Am I right? Anharmonic terms means non-linear theory, right or not?
It is.
Yes.
I think we have to stop here. Okay, so please write down the grades. Yeah, okay. Then I ask you to show me the grade for the reporter. 7, 7, 7, 6, and 6. And the grade for the opponent. 7, 6, 6, 6, and 6. And finally, the grade for the reviewer. 6, 6, 6, 6, and 6.
They're not included.
Thank you. So very uniform. Just some general comments maybe on the report as a whole.
Yeah, I think it was a great presentation with a lot of analysis. I appreciate that. However, basic physics was lacking in a few points in the presentation. So just using basic physics argument to prove the point. I think the point of opposition was well taken. I also ask you as a question. I think with more physical explanation along the line, you would have gotten more points. So the presentation certainly show a great amount of work and interest in it.
You wish to add? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I understand that the problem with the that it's formulated for the string and for the coil, so, and that's why maybe, I don't know what the author meant by this, but maybe there is some effect connected with this coupling, geometrical coupling, but you stated that there is no effect, at least in your experiment, no interest in physical effect, because everything can be explained with, I suppose, that we mentioned, just the wire. Yes? So, we do not need any over these difficulties with this coupling because of curvature. Am I right? So, I mean, about the basic.
Yeah. Maybe in the break, if you still want to talk about details. For the opposition, also very uniform, some feedback maybe.
I would like to make a comment. I think they started a very good point, but in the discussion, you should have pushed more the issue of the basic explanation, and you didn't do that. So that's why you got a little lower score. I think when you find a good point, you should continue with that point and engage the reporter more on the same point until you get an answer. You need an answer.
I was also between 6 and 7. I think I liked that you started the question with the model, and you things like also the cross section. These things were, I think, not explicitly stated in the presentation. That things like this came out. I like that. But towards the end, I think you were running out of ideas what to discuss. Then you were throwing in these unharmonicity and similar effects, which I do not know how you would to connect it to his presentation directly. That's always a bit difficult. So, but I gave you, so you ended up with a 6.5, but then I round up. For the reviewer, complete equilibrium there, yeah.
What I missed that in discussion analysis, it was no own opinion at all.
Yes.
It's which gives me 0 for this. I mean, not for discussion analysis. I give 0.5. It comes from 1 for evaluation and 0 for own opinion.
You see.
Yeah, exactly the same issue
Yeah.
you had. Only summarize what the discussion was, who said what, but you did not say what you think. Your own opinion.
They say few, but they say few opinions on the wrong.
It's more like a summary.
You could have pushed the anharmonic aspect a little bit more in that case, because that was something that no one else had.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
No, I agree, but if there was no own opinion, I mean, that was one of the own opinions.
that's why I asked you what he was.
Okay. So, before we open that discussion, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us in that rather